the Manchukuo National Railway, although officially it was a state-owned railway. In reality it was built, operated and managed by the South Manchuria Railway, and the Kwantung Army frequently intervened in its affairs. As a result, the Ministry of Transportation only nominally supervised the National Railway and issued publications regarding its affairs. Essentially, it was a puppet railway that was not a puppet of the puppet government. In Manchuria, the division of rights in mainland China manifested itself in the form of competition in railway construction. As a result, following the end of the Russo-Japanese War, railway rights in Manchuria were split between Russia, which operated the Chinese Eastern Railway, and Japan, which operated the South Manchuria Railway. Meanwhile, in the western part of Manchuria there operated a Chinese-owned railway on the Beijing-Shanigong-Fengtian route, the Jingfeng Railway, which had been built with a loan given by the British Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. In 1913 and 1918, China and Japan concluded two railway agreements which strengthened Japanese rights in Manchuria, further increasing the dominance of the great powers in China. After the 1922 establishment of the Republic of China, political and military activities were undertaken to reclaim Chinese rights. In Manchuria this movement also reached the railways, in the form of attacks against Mantetsu and Japanese interests. The Fengtian warlords were in effect governing Manchuria at the time, and its leader, Zhang Zuolin, was cooperative with Japan. Nevertheless, he exhibited an independent attitude regarding railways, and in 1924 he established the Three Eastern Provinces Transportation Committee and began laying railway with Chinese capital. To counter this, Japanese interests opened 5 more rail lines. Zhang Zuolin accepted the Japanese right to build new lines, but the Fengtian clique continued to build railways as well. The Kwantung Army had for some time wanted to somehow divide the Fengtian warlords, and on the 4th of June 1928 they assassinated Zhang Zuolin. He was succeeded as leader of the Fengtian clique by his son, Zhang Zuliang, who in December of that year declared his allegiance to the Kuomintang, becoming fervently anti-Japanese. After Zhang Zuliang's succession, he reorganized the Three Provinces Transportation Committee into the Northeastern Transportation Committee, and undertook a strategy intended to surround and attack Mantetsu. The first step was the construction of a branch from the midpoint of the Jingfeng Railway to Huludao, where he built a new port. From then on, the Jingfeng Railway's network was planned with the goal of encircling and undermining the Japanese-owned railway. This was a severe blow to Mantetsu. The Jingfeng Railway's new lines all ran parallel to the Mantetsu lines, several kilometers away, but shippers who previously had no choice but to use Mantetsu's service moved their business to the Chinese-owned company, even if its line was further away. The Japanese protested strongly on the basis of the Sino-Japanese Treaty concerning the three provinces, in which it had been agreed that no railways running parallel to Mantetsu lines would be built. The Fengtian clique ignored this, and the conflict between the two railways intensified. In order to break the stalemate in the conflict between Japan and the Fengtian warlords, including the conflict over railways, the Kwantung Army took action, staging the Mukden incident, in which a Japanese soldier detonated a small quantity of dynamite near a Mantetsu line on 18 September 1931. Although no damage was inflicted, it was blamed on Chinese terrorists, and was used as a pretext for the Japanese invasion of Manchuria. The Fengtian clique, which effectively had been the government of Manchuria until that time, collapsed in October, as the Northeastern Transportation Committee was dissolved with the collapse of the Fengtian junta. The Kwantung Army established the new Northeastern Transportation Committee on the 23rd of October, which temporarily took over management of the railways. By February 1932, the Kwantung Army had occupied all of Manchuria. To avoid international criticism, the Kwantung Army established the puppet state of Manchukuo on 1 March 1932. Consequently, the management of the railways was transferred from the Transportation Committee to the new Manchukuo Ministry of Transportation. Each railway company remained independent. No state-owned railway company was established at this time. Less than a year later, the Railway Act was passed on the 9th of February 1933, which nationalized all railways and went into effect on the same day, establishing the Manchukuo National Railway. However, on the very same day as they were nationalized, all railway companies received a directive from the Ministry of Transportation instructing them to hand over their operations to the South Manchuria Railway. In effect, the Manchukuo Ministry of Transportation